Hello, my name is Mr. M.M. Ramatla and I'm a student teacher at Stadio, but I'm based in Free State. I'm passionate about music, especially choral singing. As I grew up in singing in church choirs and taking part in community competition, so music has always been part of who I am. Today I want to share 3 important ideas I learned from TMUF 701. These ideas have changed how I view music education and how I want to teach music in future. The 3 ideas I want to share are: 1. The streaming of KEP's music curriculum. 2. The challenges of jazz education in school. 3. Difference between anesthetic and praxial music education. The KEP's music curriculum allows schools to choose one of 3 music streams: jazz, Western art music, and indigenous art music. At first, this sounds like a good idea. It gives school and a teacher a focus, but in reality, many schools teach only Western art music. This creates a gap. It means indigenous African music, which is so important to our culture, is ignored or treated as a side topic. As someone who grew up in the Basotho community where music is part of ceremonies, family, spiritual practices, I feel strongly that indigenous African music deserves more space in our classrooms. It's not just a music, but it's an identity, a history, and a pride. KEPS mentions Ubuntu and inclusion, but it doesn't always support teachers with clear guidelines and resources to teach indigenous African music properly. In music teaching, I want to change that. I want to include indigenous African music fully, not just as a token topic, but with creativity and respect it deserves. That means inviting community musicians using isiZulu, South Sotho songs, and letting learners perform with their bodies and voices the way our ancestors did. The second issue is about jazz education. According to study guide and scholars like Lily, jazz is often taught in schools in a very academic way, full of theory, chords, and technical analysis. But jazz didn't start in classroom. It came from communities, from performance, improvisation, and soul. This creates a challenge. Learners can become disconnected to jazz because it becomes too formal. In many instances, learners have ever had a real bebop or tried to improvise. I know this myself because I've never had a chance to study jazz properly, but understand the rhythm and enjoy improvising during singing. I believe jazz should be taught in a way that feels alive. Learners should be encouraged to play with sound. They must echo phrases and move to rhythms. We can use scat singing, body percussion, and group games to make jazz exciting and relevant. As a teacher, I want to bring back that feeling of playing and expression in jazz learning, the way it was meant to be. The third issue is difference between anesthetic and praxial music education. Anesthetic education is more about listening and understanding music and analyzing it, studying a paint. It focuses on musical works and theory, while praxial education is about doing, playing, singing, moving, and creating. When I look at my own musical journey, it was more of praxial education. I didn't read music or analyze scores. I learned by singing in church, community choir. I developed strong listening and performing skills through participation. That's why praxial education makes sense to me. It meets learners where they are in the body, in practice, and in real life. I think this is really important to South Africa, where many learners come from an environment where formal music learning is not available, but they are still deeply connected, or they are deeply musical. So as a teacher, we should honor that. We must build lessons that are practical, participatory, and rooted in real culture and expression. This has helped me to reflect. And so, to the end, I just want to say TMUF 701 made me the kind of teacher, made me to realize what kind of teacher I want to be. I want to teach with passion and creativity. I want to make sure that whether learners know theory or not, but they still feel that music is for them. By including indigenous African music, making jazz and more practical, and teaching through doing, I believe I can help my learners find their voice through music. Thank you.